are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the College Week Podcast. I'm doing a take on Twitter. The latest Auburn athletics news as my camera is off. Why is it off? We'll deal with it later, I guess. But we're here today to talk about the latest Auburn athletics news as Alex Golesh has been hired as the Auburn head football coach, which many of you or everyone pretty much should know by this point. But there are bigger news to talk about, but we're going to talk about the Alex Golesh presser first and then get into, the title of the show kind of gives it away, what the big news tidbit is for today. So yesterday, Alex Golesh sat in front of Auburn media and the Auburn family and talked about what his plans are going forward for Auburn football. And honestly, he checked every box for me. He had a clear goal and a clear message to what he wants his team to be like, what he wants Auburn to be like going forward. So I think that's a massive step in the right direction. And one of the big things that he talked about that I really enjoyed out of this press conference was the fact that he said he will be giving the play calling abilities to the offensive coordinator. And that I can't think of the last time an Auburn coach said that in their introductory press conference. I don't think any coach, I think every coach that I can think of came around to doing it later on. And even then, most of them did not do it. But you kind of see the tenacity that he has and possesses. And, of course, if you've been around the college ball world long enough, you know Alex Golesh, you know the mentality aspect that he brings to the table. And he's a tenacious recruiter, too. We're going to talk about recruiting in a little bit because early signing day is, of course, tomorrow. And, of course, that's the big signing day for quite a lot of people going forward. But Golesh straight up mentioned that John Cohen mentioned that Alex Golesh turned down a lot of jobs to take the Auburn job. Auburn checked every box for him as well. It's a program that is built to win. It's got it can recruit itself, and it's got the backing of not only the greatest fans in sports, but also it's got alignment, is what he said. There's a lot of alignment in the program, and that's something that a lot of Auburn fans wouldn't really say it is true. But if he's willing to leave USF and leave other jobs because he thinks Auburn is more aligned than any other job that came across his desk, that's big time. And of course, an offense with Alex Golesh is going to be explosive. It's going to be fun to watch, is what he said. It's if you didn't watch him last year or this past year, Byron Brown became one of, if I'm not mistaken, 13 or 12 quarterbacks in college football history that have had 3,000 yards and 1,000 yards on the ground. 3,000 yards passing, 1,000 yards on the ground. So explosive offense is what Alex Golesh brings to the team. And, of course, he's bringing a lot of his staff with him offensively. And I think this is what I'm going to kind of start going into the pathway of he's also retaining one DJ Durkin on the staff. I keep wanting to say on the roster, but on the staff. And that's big time. That is absolutely big time because I think the big thing that we all are aware of is the fact that Auburn was extremely good defensively this past season, top 30 defense in the country. But if they only had an offense, we are talking about a team that is at most 11-1, 12-0, 10-2, wherever you want to be, wherever you want to put them. That's where Auburn would have been with even just a semblance of an offense. And Durkin not only is big time just for your defensive scheme, but also for your defensive retention. And again, people have been saying all along, why would you want to retain a staff and a roster that just didn't win? And, that understandable in some regards, but also the team was not losing because of the defense. The defense was the whole reason Auburn was I don't say losing, but was still involved in these one-score games. Auburn, they went 5-7 this past year. 6 of those 7 losses were one-score games. And he had a chance to win them in every single part of the game if the offense had just caught a couple more passes, scored 1 touchdown, put up more than 20 points. If Auburn had scored 24 points a game, they in those losses, you would have turned, I think, 5 of them into wins. So you would have went 10-2, just strictly by scoring 24 points. And again, that's something Golesh even mentioned, but getting Golish, a defensive coordinator that's been proven already at Auburn, and retaining DJ Durkin is absolutely big time. And you never want to bug too early about a coach. And of course, I think we all kind of fall into the lines of doing that. But Golish is a lot different than what Auburn has had in the past. He just the mentality of it. He's going to run the football, which is something the last 2 coaches weren't really set on doing. And that's got to be big time for guys like Jeremiah Cobb, Darrell Robinson, Omar Mabson, Alvin Henderson, any running backs that might look at Auburn in the portal. Auburn is going to run the football, and they're going to be explosive while doing it. And once they score a touchdown, their defense is going to be able to turn around and get some stops. And again, having Durkin there to fully pay attention to the defense is exactly what Auburn needs. That's what hurt them against Vanderbilt the most, was the fact that you only gave them really 5 days to kind of settle in. So it got a little bit better as the year progressed over the past few weeks of Durkin being the interim coach. But I don't think that what Durkin brought as the interim, or brought as a head coach, would have lasted a full season length. So I think this is the best possible situation. He even mentioned it in his presser that he was expecting to get an answer, or just kind of figure out what's going to go down with the DC job over the next 24 to 48 hours. And right in the middle of that, Durkin gets announced as staying and just being retained in general. And again, there are a lot of guys that Alex Golesh is bringing over, and we talked about it a little bit on Sunday, and I think this was mentioned a lot. Cody Burns is back; he's going to be the associate head coach, and that's big time as well. I mean, I love it for the most part whenever you can bring alumni, former players back to coach, because nothing can make you buy in more on a coach if he's willing to listen to. If he's able to have guys like Cody Burns with him, or getting guys like Marcus Davis, or later on down the road, Deshaun Davis, those guys understand what it means to not only be a part of Auburn, but Cody Burns knows how to win at Auburn. And of course, he was a part of that 2010 team, scored the first Auburn touchdown in the BCS National Championship, doing whatever that dive was. I need someone to ask him exactly. They probably already have, but ask him what exactly he was doing there. But regardless, this is big time. I already said the Alex Golesh hire in and of itself was an A. I think him being able to recruit and retain DJ Durkin puts it up to an A+, because there's continuity on what you were doing extremely well, and you're hitting on fixing what you did wrong. And what's going to be big time, I mean, going forward is, of course, going to be what kind of retention are we going to be seeing going forward? It just kind of feels like there's going to be some kind of exodus. I don't know how big or small of players, because that happens every year. But offensively, I mean, I'm not sure how many guys were completely sold on the Hugh Freeze offense. But you're gonna lose some guys, and it's gonna be on to victory to really make sure that the guys that you want to keep are there. I'm sure Alex Golesh is foaming at the mouth to have some drawn up plays for Cam Coleman to run a post down the middle of the field, or moss someone again. No coach isn't out there salivating at the point on what players Golesh is going to want to bring back. I mean, Jeremiah Cobb would be big. Quarterbacks is going to be the big conversation point going forward with what exactly the quarterback situation is going to look like. Of course, the portal opens up, I think, later this month. It's not like people can announce that they're going to go, but they can't enter right now. So this is the time for, I'm trying to get January 2nd. So January 2nd. So the start of the next month is when the single football transfer portal window opens up. So players can announce that they are planning on entering the portal. But I mean, I would believe a lot of people are going to hit that lot closer to time. So, I mean, around New Year's Eve, maybe after Christmas, maybe even before Christmas, just so that way you're getting more announcements and people can start adjusting and flowing and getting ready to recruit guys that they have either heard or, are going to hit the portal. But I mean, it's a 10-day period on January 2nd. So that'll be interesting. It'll be a very busy time. Something Golesh you mentioned was he's going to be attacking recruiting, and he's already been recruiting a lot. We'll talk about some of the one of the commits he's already gotten. He's got a second commit right before we started the show, and got a wide receiver. We got a couple of pass catchers. But right now, Auburn currently sits at 78th in the country, which that's going to happen whenever you lose a coach and you lose a couple of commits, which has happened already for Auburn. But also, you have guys constantly being recruited. I mean, Jace Matthews, just kind of broke as of late. I mean, he will not be signing until December 5th. It looks like LSU has kind of become a place for him, and maybe even Ole Miss have really been recruiting at him. So that'll be big time as well. And of course, Kenyatta Watson also leaving for his alma mater in Boston College. That could lead to some guys heading out. I don't imagine Boston College is where they'll end up, but I definitely think that could have a domino effect on some players. But I don't think we haven't gotten a full staff yet. I think as the seasons come to an end, you'll probably see more announcements. Because if I look at the Auburn staff right now, I don't think that, if I'm not mistaken, we have not really announced too many offensive positions. I know we got some quarterback coaches in right now. But for what I know, I've not heard like a wide receivers coach yet. Outside of Cody Burns is going to be in the associate head coach. You've had some. I don't think an O-line coach has been announced yet. Could be wrong, but it's been a crazy couple of days. I mean, this is every time there's a quarterback or head coaching search, it goes buck wild. But yeah, I'm looking at the Auburn football thing right now. Alex Golesh named head coach. Vontrell King Williams has been retained. That's big time for Durkin. But haven't heard anything else along those lines outside of those. Marcus Davis still listed on this. I would imagine Ben Agamawa is not going to be retained because the tight end room has been an absolute mess over the past couple of seasons. Outside of the bright spots of Rivaldo Fairweather. So as we get closer to time, and of course, once you sign on the dotted line right after the season ends, and then immediately signing day is 3 days after that, you don't really have time to go do these long interviews because you're trying to turn this entire roster around, turn this whole entire offense around. So that's going to be the ticket there. Is I think after signing day is when you're going to start getting a lot more of these announcements for just staff retention or just staff hires. I imagine tight ends coach is going to be hit on early, just because tight ends are so pivotal in an Alex Golesh offense. And that's something he's been doing for quite some time now. So you got to have a guy who can develop tight ends. O-line coach needs to be hit on as well. Jake Thornton was really not it. Really struggled to turn an offensive line that was very talented into even a top 10, top 15 offensive line in the SEC. I'm probably top 12, probably the highest Auburn was ever ranked. You gotta fix offensive line if you're Alex Golesh. So you need to hit a home run higher at that position offensively. Wide receiver wise, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Cody Burns, I think he might be listed. He was a wide receivers coach at with Golish, but I don't think it's been announced of him as being a wide receivers coach, unless again if I've missed it. But I mean, him as an associate head coach is big time to me because again, he's a guy who understands Auburn, knows Auburn, and you've gotten everybody to get behind Cody Burns. Expected to be co-offensive coordinator. Okay, there we go. So love Cody Burns. Love to see who else he brings in as well. I mean, he mentioned, I mean, it becomes even more important for him because what he said in the press conference was, it's going to be a collaborative effort. It's going to be a lot of, talking to the wide receiver coach, talking to the tight ends coach, who's having a big game now, who's not having a great game, and then adjusting and flowing. And honestly, my favorite thing that Golesh said in that entire press conference is going to be he is not going to force his scheme onto the players. Alex Golesh is not going to force his scheme onto the players. He's going to build his scheme for his players. So if he has a quarterback that likes to run the football, we're going to run the football a lot with that quarterback. If he has a quarterback that has a cannon for an arm, you're going to see that offense cater to his arm power. And that's something that's, good OCs can build an offense on based off of the talent. Great OCs, great play callers build their offense because of the talent. And I hope I'm not getting that backwards, but just seeing what he is saying about having guys, if you have a couple of fast wide receivers, you're getting more deep balls out of them. And again, that's something that's great to see. And he's going to spend a lot of time. Then his priority right now, it not only just recruiting, but retaining. He's going to be looking at these guys, talking to Deuce Knight, Cam Coleman, the O-line, the tight ends, the whole wide receiver room, the defense. Just talking to guys and are you wanting to build something great here at Auburn? Or do you find yourself to be a fit? Should I find you as a fit for what I want to do offensively? And these guys got to look over at what USF has been doing. Look at Tennessee over there a couple years back, that when Hendon Hooker turned into a Heisman candidate and beat Alabama. Look back at all those times. And again, I think some people kind of took the quarterback development graphic that they posted too seriously, where it was like Brock Purdy, Hendon Hooker, and Joe Milton. Those are three guys in the NFL. Those are three guys that are currently in the NFL and were coached by Alex Golesh. Byron Brown, I think, is going to be big time. Because I look back at Auburn's quarterback room this year, and I love what I saw out of Deuce Knight in the limited time we saw him, especially that Mercer game, which was absolutely phenomenal to watch. Kid's different. But looking at Ashton Daniels, if Byron Brown were to transfer, what does that mean for Ashton Daniels? Auburn, took him out for a game so he could redshirt and, bringing him back next year. He wants to be at Auburn. So what exactly is the game plan there? It's kind of hard to expect a offensive-minded coach to adopt the quarterback one that he is receiving whenever he can get that 3,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher named Byron Brown, who is a power 4 quarterback job away from being a Heisman candidate, because I don't think anyone's really won the Heisman right now, which is odd at this point of the season, because it's December 2nd and the Heisman gets announced in a couple of years or a couple of weeks. So that's kind of big going forward. Mindsets are crazy. I will say the one thing I did not like about the whole presser was someone asking about the golf thing. I think you just gotta leave that in the past. I think you just have to leave that right in the past. But yeah, Alex Golesh loves this job, and I think everyone loves the fact that DJ Durkin is back on staff. He has been retained. I see a comment about TJ rushing. I've not heard about rushing yet. I know not long before we started the show, Von Trell, King Williams was announced, and I'm currently all over my Twitter right now, just making sure I'm not missing anything. Which I've just not seen anything about TJ rushing yet. I will say that safeties was not my favorite position on defense this year. I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunities because of missed assignments or just anything along those lines. Because Caleb Harris regressed, Jaquez Robinson definitely had his struggles. But yeah, I've not heard anything about TJ Rushing yet, which I've constantly been on Twitter to try to find out exactly what the staff is going to look like. But again, we're gonna get more of the staff after signing day. Signing day is so big for Auburn right now, and we're about to get to that in a second. I see some people asking about it in the comments. But I mean, before we do, I mean, let me know what your thoughts are on the head coaching hire. Is it an A plus, A minus? Do you not like it at all? I know Summerall. I will say I don't think Summerall would have been a bad hire. And I think a lot of people were kind of like casting that aside because Auburn was dead set on Summerall for the longest time. Summerall would not have been a bad hire. But I have been saying for a while, Golish was the best hire Auburn could make. And Auburn hit the nail on the head. It might not have sounded like the number one hire, but it definitely feels like, especially after how he was in the presser. I'm just saying, I've been saying Golish for a while, so we're gonna be a little egotistical about predicting that earlier in the year. I'll go through those comments, and then we'll kind of shift over into signing day tomorrow. Again, I have updates about some guys that I've been seeing about. Got some decommits, a lot that have happened over the past 24 to 48 hours as well. 4 in the class of 26, 1 in the class of 27. This kind of sent Auburn in a little bit of a spiral, but not a spiral that they can't get themselves out of. So yeah, as we go, War Eagle so stoked. I think Auburn has finally gotten it right. Love that Cody is back in the Plains and Durkin staying. I'm also impressed with Golish. War Dang from Arizona. Completely agree, Kyle a lot. War Eagle from Auburn Edge also says best hire in the SEC would have been only better if we would have gotten Clark Lee. I don't think Clark Lee was ever going to leave Vanderbilt. I mean, I look at like guys like Brent Key and Kirby, and Clark Lee's are right in that ballpark of guys that you can't. He's not going to leave. That's his alma mater. That's a job that he is proud to be at, as a job. That is a school he is proud to build up, and he has turned them into a potential playoff team. Which I think, kind of looking at the playoff bracket that just came out, I don't think they're in it. Which why would they be? So. Clark Lee would have been a decent hire, but we also don't know what a Clark Lee team looks like without a guy like Diego Pavia. Because even then, like the Jared Curtis thing, apparently that was complete. I don't want to say fabricated, but definitely it didn't happen. Jared Curtis announced that he's not talked to either team about it. But I mean, not saying it couldn't. But I don't imagine Jared Curtis will get the start right away unless he absolutely wows during spring ball. Which again, spring ball is also big for Golish going forward. Brian Gallagher. There we go, Gallagher. Offense under Golish among with DJ Durkin defense. We'll be back to winning games next season. I love the confidence. Which I mean, I don't disagree, but also that schedule for Auburn next year is ridiculous. Because it's at Alabama, at Georgia, got Vanderbilt, but you also, I think you have LSU back on your schedule. So you big time, you got Tennessee, you're traveling to Tennessee. So it'll be a very tough schedule, but one that'll be very interesting for Auburn in the Golish era. You got Baylor in Atlanta. And for some reason, my website is not loading anymore. Southern Miss, Jacksonville State. So you should start off 3-0, hopefully. You got Florida, which is big time. It's going to be a big drama game. Talking about the Summerall hiring. Arkansas, another drama game. You know, Auburn kind of stole Golish from them. LSU with Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss with Pete Golding. So you got a few new coaches on here, which I will say, Lane to LSU, it's gonna be really great for one team, and it's but I'm not sure. I think that Lane can win at LSU, but I don't think he's just not going to win championships. I just don't think he is able to do so. But he definitely screwed Ole Miss. That is absolutely crazy to see. Pete Golding, that's a terrible hire for them. They should have just waited and just went through the whole went to the playoffs without an actual head coach. But yeah, players can say they plan, but they can't enter the portal, but can't until January 2nd. Yeah. That's awesome that he's staying. I'm hoping we can bring in Byron Brown from Auburn Edge again and have a real quarterback competition with him and Deuce. It'll be interesting to see exactly because I don't see Ashton Daniels not being a part of that. Which I mean, again, this portal cycle could be absolutely if the coaching carousel that we have just witnessed, which is still going on, because I don't think Penn State's announced the head coach yet. Penn State is is a dumpster fire right now, which is not the first time that's been said this century. If what I was just saying, I just made fun of Penn State. With how crazy the coaching carousel has been this offseason already, or not even this offseason, this season. Season's not even over with. That the portal's going to be even crazier. It's going to be insane. The NCAA has got to do something to kind of regulate the portal more than they are trying to do. It's going to be crazy. January 2nd is going to be an insane day. And of course, those 10 days are going to be absolutely crazy. I feel like you're going to have guys entering the portal left and right. You're going to have some guys that get trapped because they didn't submit their paperwork on the right day. But regardless, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at Byron Brown. I think he's a great bridge quarterback to Deuce Knight, which I hate that I think that's been said a lot this season about bridge quarterbacks to being to Deuce Knight. But yeah, I love Byron Brown. He's been one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch for a few years now. He is a very fun quarterback. Again, 3,000 yards passing, 1,000 yard rushing. I mean, that's unheard of. That's why it's only happened 13 times. Burns is the wide receiver coach under Golish, and he is here as well, according to ChatGPT. I wouldn't trust that source too much, but from what I read, co-offense coordinator, which fits him better. Cody Burns is like we talked about this on Sunday about closest coaches getting a head coaching job. It might be Cody Burns getting there, so love to see it happen. Ryan Gallagher, do we want to go to a bowl since Mike G over on the War Report said that we're first chance on bowl potential at 5-7? I think Auburn would take that. They would have to hurry up and say that they are, though, because you're gonna have a bunch of guys that aren't going to want to play. I don't even know what bowls are really. 5-7. I think the only one you would really take is the Birmingham Bowl. You're just in state. There's not really any big bowl games Auburn would get at 5-7, but I wouldn't be upset at them getting one. I mean, it's a game that I would try to go to in December. But I mean, what are we gonna see? You're gonna have guys that aren't playing. You might see more guys, and I'm not sure if Golish could even coach them up in that time span. I think it would just be a time spent for Golish kind of just watch the guys in practice, which would work out well. It'd be interesting because I mean the staff's already kind of up and going everywhere. There are already coaches that are going to the playoffs that have already gotten hired, and they're already over there. Alabama's wide receiver coach, offensive coordinator, whichever position he is, he's already over there in Oregon State doing pressers. So weird. College football is in a very odd state right now. So yeah, wild. Bowl game, I don't know. I mean, you got the Birmingham Bowl thing is like the worst one that Auburn can get to. So we'll just have to see. If Golish could coach it, then take it. But again, I guess also those free practices are big time as well, because that's when you get to see any early enrollees potentially, depending on when your bowl game is. But yeah, Birmingham Bowl would be fun, I guess. Watching Auburn in a bowl game for the first time in, good Lord, 4 years? 4 years since a bowl game? 2021, first year Harsin? No, that brings a tear to your eye. Yeah, I wouldn't be upset. Cody will help bring Alex, their offensive staff, over to Auburn. Agree. Since head coach and co-offensive coordinator. Yep, there we go. Veer and shoot offense. Yes, he is. He likes to run the ball a lot and make some of those big plays over make some big plays passing. We're going to be better than OK Men or Eagle 2022, number 2 offense in the nation with Hooker. He was the number 2 offense in the country last year with Byron Brown as well. So I think Deuce fits well. That's why I'm asking, because I'm not so big on him anyways. Clark Lee was number 1, but Golish was a close number 2. I think those are all valid opinions. So going back to the question up here, wherever it went. Dylan, what's your thoughts on signing day tomorrow? Of course, signing day is always a fun, busy, sometimes awesome, sometimes sad day, depending on what team you are. Right now, Auburn currently sits at number 78 in the country. That is after the couple of commits Auburn got. The one they just got not even 30 minutes before the show started today. So what does Auburn have thus far? This is a defensive and a very heavily defensive class that's also built inside the trenches. Right now, the number 1 guy is Jaquez Wilkes, number 4-star linebacker, currently the top-rated prospect for Auburn in this class. And at least from everything I've been hearing, which again, recruits change their mind left and right, but Jaquez Wilkes looks like he's pretty much locked in. Jace Matthews, a big tidbit about him, I think I already said it earlier, will not be signing until December 5th. LSU and Ole Miss have been recruiting him pretty heavily, so he'll be kind of holding out. Shadarius Tootle, my favorite name in the entire draft class or recruiting class, will probably more than likely be buying his jersey strictly just because it says Tootle on it, as well as the fact that it will be so funny during. I so desperately need Shadarius Tootle to get a pick 6 in his career at Auburn, strictly so someone can say Toodaloo to Tootle. Like I just need that in my life. Is someone saying Toodaloo as he runs into the end zone. But that's big time. Up next, Deshaun Spencer. Go ahead and talk about him. 3-star wide receiver, just flipped from Duke, coming out of Maryland. Which again, Maryland is a very good football team. If you're not aware of Alabama high school football, Deshaun Spencer, dude, is lightning quick. He is a home run hitter in every sense of the word. Big time flip for Alex Golesh, which he's already brought in 2 pass catchers, which is also big. One of them being a tight end. We'll talk about in just a little bit. But yeah, Deshaun Spencer is a massive flip for Auburn. And again, when you've lost a couple of guys already, which I'll talk about in just a second, that's, these are recruiting wins that you need. Auburn was as low as 93rd, I think, in the country per 24/7. So that's what you have to. These are the kind of guys you got to get. We have a couple of linemen. Wilson Zaire, 3-star lineman. Of course, little legacy player, older brother played lineman at Auburn not too long ago. Forgot his first name, but Zaire was his last name. Parker Pritchett, another guy, 3-star interior offensive lineman. So building up the trenches. Adam Bala, ABA, that's what I'm gonna call him. AB, the 3-star linebacker. I just don't want to say his name wrong. But Adam, a big time linebacker. You got Wayne Henry, which has stuck with Auburn for quite some time now, 3-star safety. The second most recent commit Auburn has gotten in this class since the second flip Auburn has gotten since the hiring of Alex Golesh. Jared Curtis has just now officially flipped to Vanderbilt from Georgia. So, yeah, if you're not aware about that, Vanderbilt just stole a 5-star quarterback from Georgia, and I'm not mistaken, he is the number 1 quarterback in the class. If I'm not mistaken, unless something has changed or I have just not been hearing things. Yeah, he is number 1 quarterback in the class. So that's big time. That's big time for Vanderbilt. So yeah, DeMarcus Broughton though is where we're gonna go with that. 3-star tight end out of Alabama. He went to Mary G. Montgomery, and I mean, you talk about a tight end that Auburn really desperately needs, and that is a blocking tight end, a guy who can catch the ball as well, and that's something DeMarcus Broughton has done during his high school career. And just being able to high point the ball, make some pretty dang good catches, as well as being able to shove some guys into the dirt, and that's something I love to see out of tight ends in general. Tight ends is like one of my favorite positions to talk about. I love tight ends. Like one of my favorite all-time players will always be Philip Levin-Kirkin, but I also love CJ Uzomah and all those guys. So getting a big-time tight end is huge for Auburn. So hopefully you got to build on a little bit in the portal, because Brandon Frazier has already used up all of his years of eligibility. Unless he has another one left, then he'll have been here for a decade almost. But Preston Howard was not it. Preston Howard is not it. Present tense, because he's not into the portal. So yeah, DeMarcus Broughton could be a big time pickup for Auburn going forward, which I just want to say I predicted it a little bit. I think you look at the tight end room you're coming into as a head coach, and you're gonna be like, yeah, we need to pick up one of those. We need to get one of those. So that's exactly what he did. Also got a Shadrick Tootle, 3-star safety out of JUCO, a first team in his conference this past year, which Auburn has always, Golish aside, has always been really good at picking up guys from JUCO, and they've all, for the most part, panned out. Champ Anthony being probably one of the biggest names out of that over the past couple of seasons. But even like Keontae Scott and Keontae Scott, whenever he was in his prime. But yeah, Champ Anthony, big time. Shadrick Tootle, again, the older brother of Shadarius Tootle. He can also be a part of the getting a pick six, just so someone could say Toodaloo to Tootle. Need it to happen. So those are the commits. Of course, can't forget about 5-star long snapper Travis Wakefield. Per Cole's kicking, one of the top long snappers in the country. So big time for that. Special teams is an issue for Auburn, so got to get that fixed right away. I will say, based off his Twitter, which I don't want to speculate anything, or like, let me put that out there. I'm not speculating. I am speculating. I'm not saying anything official. Nothing's been said yet, but it does look like Towns Magoo might be entering the portal whenever it opens up. I mean, he's been posting a lot of his own film and posting his GBA and whatnot. So definitely feels like a guy who's trying to put himself out there and make himself more recruitable to the teams that are in need of a kicker. But again, I've always said, if you want to transfer from Auburn, wish you the best of luck. Just don't go to Alabama or Georgia, or I will not wish you the best of luck. That's pretty much all that's my catchphrase for every guy that transfers out of Auburn. But of course, those are 11 commits Auburn has in this class. They've lost 4 from this year and 1 from the class 2027. I'll go and start with the number 1 guy for this one. The first one that flipped off of Auburn was Braylon Womack, which that one does suck. It hurts a little bit. 4-star safety, flipped to Mississippi State. And I do wonder if the announcement of the retaining of DJ Durkin will affect this in any way, shape, or form. So that'll be interesting to see going forward. You also lost your quarterback in this class in Peyton Falzone, but of course that's going to happen. I mean, I'm going to go and say it. I didn't know. It surprised me when I saw Peyton Falzone was committed to Auburn when it happened. But again, you got to get a quarterback in every class. That's kind of like a staple of recruiting the college ranks. You have to get 1 quarterback per class. You also lost Niaku Hepi, a 3-star offensive lineman. He is also decommitted. He's part of the NFL program that puts guys into college. So that one hurts as well. You always want to build up the trenches. And then the most recently guy after the committing of DeMarcus Broughton lost Kentrell White, who I would also want to say is one of Auburn's longest tenured commits into this class. But a pass-catching tight end, which, I mean, I'm not going to ever say no to getting more tight ends. I think Auburn needs more and more tight ends every single year. But, yeah, those are the decommits from the 26th class. But what also does suck is you lost Jalen Scott. He has announced his decommitment, 4-star safety out of the class of 2027. Again, a lot of these happened before the announcement of Durkin, at least from when I saw them. So I do wonder if those defensive guys could flip back because Durkin has been officially announced. And again, these guys are always being recruited. I know Braylon Womack, Mississippi State was around him for a while, trying to get him to flip. And of course, some other guys around the place. Jalen Scott could flip back to Florida State. And of course, anyone can flip anywhere at any time. Recruiting is a scary thing. It is a very scary thing. But of course, I think Alex Golesh will turn this class into, as currently at 78, 2 days, or what? I think 2 days, about 6 hours, 5 hours, 20 minutes away from signing day, starting officially. I think Auburn could make a big jump. I think that just kind of sitting down and listening to what Alex Golesh sees for the program, what Alex Golesh is saying about his offense, what he's saying about the team he wants to make. Any person that knows anything about Auburn University knows that if you have the right guy and you give him the guys he needs, he will win a lot at Auburn. And that's something that any recruit should be aware of. Auburn has not been the school that's been able to do this in quite some time, but Auburn is a school that should be recruiting itself. Just being able to watch Auburn on TV. If I couldn't imagine being a 5-star wide receiver and just kind of, or 5-star anything, sitting in that section in the Iron Bowl or any of those words, like watching Auburn from the stands as a high schooler would be big time, just because you're like, dang, even if our team isn't the best, we are still selling out the stadium and these fans are living it up, and it's absolutely insane. Which I still didn't see the Jace Matthews. I saw the comment about Jace Matthews decommitting. I've not seen anything about him decommitting, unless it's happened like lately. But regardless, I have not seen that in particular. Which, wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if it did happen. But I still think Auburn is going to be heavily recruiting him no matter what. But getting Deshaun Spencer is big time to add into that, a class that needs a lot of talent. Because, again, if you mess up this class, I don't say if you mess up this class, but Hugh Freeze got himself a couple of years of being off the. Okay, rephrase. He's not committing tomorrow. Okay, there we go. Okay, that we talked about. December 5th is when he'll be committing and signing. But again, what Hugh Freeze did on that first signing day, I think bought him a lot of the time that he got, because he was able to get guys like Keldrick Falk and guys that have kind of built this program as of late, Kyan Lee, which all those guys are defensive guys. But what Golesh, if Golesh can tell these guys and impact them the way that he impacted a lot of the fans yesterday during that presser, I think Auburn can. Getting in the top 30, I don't think it'd be too difficult to get if you're looking at Auburn and I don't want to say in a vacuum, but looking at Auburn and what they can be with the right staff. And if you're just banking on this being the right staff, that'll be it. But I understand also that it's hard to kind of sell people on a dream because, again, that's just kind of selling them on the dream will kind of hurt you in the long run, because you'll lose a lot of players, because it's like, well, we have a dream, but we're not executing it. And that's what happened in the last head coaching staff. So that's pretty much a signing day. There's not a lot. There's some guys that I've been hearing about that people have been like looking out for Auburn to sign or flip or whatnot. But it's really hard to really sit down and talk about those guys until that pen hits the paper for them to make their way to the Plains. And of course, we'll be talking about it on the Thursday show, talking about any and all signees for Auburn and what it means going forward. Of course, signing day doesn't just start and stop on the 2nd or the 3rd, but it can go at any time. Not everyone can be Virginia Tech and absolutely just kill it from the get-go, which is what's been happening over there with Franklin. But you asked me who would be a great pickup. James Franklin would have been a big-time pickup as well. But again, Golesh is big time. Golesh is absolutely big time. So that's going to be it for us over here at the College Loop. I will say, go ahead and just kind of discuss this for a little bit. Auburn does play basketball tomorrow. So whenever you get all sick and tired of hearing about all these other commits going somewhere else, you can at least sit down and go watch Auburn basketball take on NC State in the ACC SEC Men's Challenge, or as it should be, the SEC ACC Men's Challenge, because the SEC is a superior basketball conference. But Auburn, of course, coming fresh off of a big win over St. John's, which, again, that's a big-time win. Auburn went up in the rankings at 20. NC State, not a bad team, but they did suffer a pretty close loss, 5-point loss to Texas. They're going to be a hard team to beat. Auburn seemed like they're healthy. And, again, I'll stand by everything I keep saying. If Keyshawn Hall is healthy, if Keyshawn Murphy is healthy, if Tahad is still on fire, this team is really hard to beat. They are really hard to beat. And again, I'm sticking by my prediction for the team. I still think Sweet 16 is the way to go. Of course, after this game on the 6th, which is, I believe, Saturday. Which, why watch conference championship games when you can watch Auburn take on number 2 Arizona on Saturday at 9 p.m., which that sucks. But that game's over there in not Tempe. We're Phoenix. Are they in Phoenix? I don't know Arizona like that. Tucson. There's someone from Arizona over there. Tucson. They're in Tucson. There we go. So Auburn will be at Tucson on Saturday to take on number 2 Arizona. That game could be interesting as well. And by could be, I mean will be. Arizona's a very good defensive team, and they shoot the ball extremely well. So if Auburn can get to where they're rebounding against teams consistently, that'll do a lot of good for them going forward. So we're going to go and get out of here. Leave your predictions for Auburn versus NC State in the SEC ACC Men's Challenge. But also, let me know what you think. Where do you think Auburn will land in the national recruiting rankings tomorrow? How much of a jump will they make? Of course, signing day isn't over tomorrow. It just starts tomorrow. So by the end of the signing day period, where will Auburn land at in the first recruiting class, not recruiting cycle, recruiting class under head coach Alex Golesh and defensive coordinator DJ Durkin? So thank you for tuning in to the Installment College Podcast. I'm going to go on and get out of here. Thank you to everyone who has commented. Thank you to everyone who has liked and followed and subscribed to the YouTube channel. Of course, we got other sites you can follow too as well, which is Twitter, too, Facebook, Instagram, the works of the College Loop. But of course, right here on the YouTube channel, we're getting so very close to 2,000 subscribers. We've already hit the 1,000 mark. Getting so very close to 2,000 subscribers. We're only 974 away. That's pretty dang close in my book. So helping us get there will be big time. But of course, always going to be over here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, talking all things Auburn athletics. So thank you all for tuning in to the Installment College Podcast yet again. And as always, War Eagle.